Bring me a higher glove. This one's too low.
Bring me a higher love. Didn't the guy who sang that, does he ever mess around?
What, as in have a silly time?
Does he ever mess around?
I think he's the one.
Bring me a higher love.
He's the one in a group of friends where someone throws a piece of cheese at someone's head and he's just there like.
No. Bring me a higher. I was trying to think of a cheese that rhymed with love. Sadly,
you're not gonna find one.
Hello and welcome to Boys Gone Wild. A lot's happened. Many things have happened. And probably more things will happen in between the record and the release of this show.
Such is the nature of events.
And time. And that's what
that's our theme today.
That's what our theme today is time.
What
Not
does
space.
It mean? We'll cover space tomorrow.
And we'll do a 2-episode series on time and space.
Time and space.
Time, thoughts.
Interesting.
For or against? We're going to have to get...
Now,
we need balance. So whatever you choose, I'm going to have to go against.
Because I was going to go in the middle in the interest of broadcasting standards. I will say I am fully against time.
Okay, I'm for time.
I am wholeheartedly against it.
I believe time is actually one of the only things keeping time moving.
I believe time is tearing down our civilization.
Yeah, okay.
Without time, you don't have death.
And that's all we got time for. That's how you
Don't say its name!
No, the Euros final happened. What thoughts? How are you feeling after England lost on penalties?
On penalties to Blinking Blonk in Italy. I was pretty devastated the next day. And
really? Did it hurt? Did you feel it hurt more in the morning than it did?
Yeah, because I mean, we'd all had several beers. Sure. It had been a long day. There was potentially a motive after. Oopsie. Hey, hold on, wait. Before it's bloody like 11 a.m. in the morning.
Oh yeah, this is
a morning podcast.
This is the earliest. This is why Andrew doesn't have a pint of beer.
I've got a tea.
So it's going to be a very different Andrew this time.
Yeah, no.
It's going to show that he has no. He now has full accountability of his actions. Before he could hide behind the mist of beer.
I'd had a Stella.
But now his awful opinions. You can't say I've had a tea. You can't hide behind.
I'll bloody give it a shot.
You can't.
I'll tell you that.
You can't hide.
I had a lot of caffeine. I didn't mean to say those things those things that I said about dogs.
So you can hide behind alcohol. You can hide behind drugs. What's pushing it the most? I think probably a cup of coffee.
I think cup of coffee. If I have one too many, then it gets because then there's too many things coming out of your mind because you get a bit jittery.
Yeah.
So this could be the craziest episode yet.
We watched the final in Clapham with some friends, and did one of those first come first serve things because no one could get a seat anywhere. It was just such a hectic day of so much stress all around because everyone was freaking out, needing to get a seat somewhere. And we found a place that was first come first serve. Our group had to arrive at basically midday before midday to try and save seats and be there for 8 hours.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a lot, but. It wasn't as much of a slog as I thought it would be. There was about 15 of us, and then all the other people were there just were different people from our school. Just like a very small world. Of just like people from all. Like I was just constantly just seeing people I knew.
What I felt is that I looked at everyone's face and I thought I recognised and knew everyone.
Yes,
because
they all look like they went to our school.
But that happens in Clapham, I think.
Yeah, it's just the Clapham.
It's just kind of middle class white people, country white people. Yeah. So it did look. I kept looking at face. I definitely know you from some.
Because there's the route of like grow up in the home counties, go to a private school there, go to a Russell Group uni, Durham, or something like that. Go to Clapham, then go move out to Surrey, and that's like
have a breakdown.
That's like a cycle. Well, yeah, obviously, but that's
in somewhere in there.
But yeah, it was funny just seeing a sea of faces when he constantly felt like you were getting deja vu.
Well, yeah, I think the reason why it didn't feel so long because it was BYOF, which is bring your own food, which is a rarer concept to see in pubs or bars around the nation. But we could pop to Tesco, get some club sandwiches, get some crisps, get some snacks, get you going. You were very excited about a particular cheese.
Yeah, Manchego cheese wrapped in Serrano ham.
Very salty.
It was a very well done thing by M&S where they've actually cut out the middleman and they've got the cheese and wrapped it pre-made. So
I think they knew you were coming.
They did.
I think they knew Hiroshi was going to be here for the football.
It was a pure picnic missile.
But we had to get there, so I got there for 11:30. I'd come the previous day from a dog's funeral.
Yes.
And then went straight up, stayed at a friend's house, and then had to get up, work out basically where I was, and then go from there to Clapham at 11:30. And you could already see at 11:30 there was just a huge sea of people, and I was like, well, we fucked it already. Yeah. But then that was because it wasn't open yet. They were just queuing up to get in there. And the moment it opened, it was just fucking carnage.
Pandemonium.
Everyone had a horrible time for about half an hour.
We're trying to find places.
As in, we were fighting with other groups. We were fighting within our group. I was pissed off with at least 4 of our friends. They were makers of terrible calls. But then it turned out, everything just about turned out all right. Because we had to make some big decisions.
Was a bit of a Gareth Southgate where you're complaining about the lineup, but the final result, finally you're like, maybe I shouldn't have doubted him.
No, I complained. Basically, we started off at one table, and then someone insisted that we move to some stools in the middle. And I was like, guys, it'll be good for the game, but the game's in 10 hours.
Yeah.
We can't be sitting on these
You've got to be thinking so far ahead.
You've got to be thinking. Yeah. You've got to be thinking. But then eventually we found a place inside. So we
found a place inside with about 15. We found about 12 chairs and ended up with about 16 people. So we had you're not allowed to stand. So it was like a carousel of trying to keep our group sat down for 8 hours with this constant
stream of in and out
of like people
coming back with pizza.
Yeah, you just had to keep it moving because but it was an intense time.
It was an intense time, but it was fun.
By the way, Andrew didn't go to someone else's dog's funeral. It was his own dog's funeral.
I don't make a habit of going to different dog funerals.
Because just to clear that up,
I'm not available for comedic hire for dog funerals, but I think I would be interested in that.
Or would you do a solo podcast?
Comparing. What I find fascinating about in these situations, it's great. I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic. But there was a point we were sitting down watching the Wimbledon final, and then you just saw suddenly everyone started flock over to outside, like immediately getting their cameras out, and they were just literally like flies attracted to a light.
Yeah.
And it turned out the light was just like someone lit a flare.
Yeah.
And just like the fascination behind the flare that comes out in these kind of situations. It's just, oh my God, someone has a flare, and then everyone's just running out and just looking at the flare.
Just the group dynamics around the city when you're all... None of us... hadn't been trained for what to do in that scenario.
No.
Everyone was free-balling. One, because we've never been in a final, and we've never really had an event like this.
So at 2 p.m, someone was like, do I do the flare?
No, yeah, and everyone's like, our leader.
He's doing a flare.
He's our leader.
I guess we film it.
Yeah, I mean, 2 p.m. was early for a flare.
It was an early flare, but you got to rate the
And it was also like, there's just no one knew how to, do you pace yourself? Because no one's done, I don't think any of us had done anything like that.
Yeah,
it was just...
But a great bit was at about probably 12:30 p.m. There was a guy, there was megaphones galore, of course. The guy was going, no, it was an air horn going, England. And he did that once, and everyone was loving it. And then he went for the second, and the air horn ran out, and I've never seen a crowd turn quicker. Yeah, England, boo! Kick him out, piece of shit! Fucking air horns run out. Get in the fuck out of here. It's just one to the other. I think it's the best thing about English football fans. You could turn in a second.
Just in a second.
On people in the crowd. Just like someone could go from absolute hero leading a chant, and if they fall over, then
it's true. If you weren't an England fan, there were all England fans in there. But if you weren't, there's a terrifying throng of people. Yeah. Just like, and it was what I found quite funny was looking back, and it was like a lot of people went to our school, and that sort of people. They're quite like Jimmy, quite like big boys.
Yeah.
But it was really funny just seeing just like these like we had a good view of this whole like almost like theatre of people watching and just seeing these giant men looking really anxious, and even when after the game when they started crying, it's just there's something funny about seeing these
very large men,
these ginormous men who like squeezes their clothes, just looking super scared and anxious.
Because you don't have to look at the vulnerable side.
You don't, and this is the only time it comes out.
But because it was great. The vibe there was great, but there was just you're always going to meet one guy where you're just like,
go on.
I don't.
Name and
You're
shame.
making me not want to support England.
Name and shame.
I don't know his name.
Okay.
But he was me, Guy, and Dan were standing outside having a cigarette, and he was just standing there, and it was 4 hours before the game. It's 4 hours before the game. We were standing in front of the TV, just next to it, and he was standing there, and he was like, he just kind of came down, was like, "You boys are going to be moving for the game, yeah?" And I was like, It's in 4 hours, mate. I don't think the cigarette is going to take 4 hours. I kind of started off on a bad foot in there, but it's just like, and they just started staring at us, just going, move.
Really?
Move.
What was it? Moving what?
Moving us.
What? So he could take the seats?
No, so we could see the TV for the football that was in 4 hours.
Was he one of the owners behind?
No. He was just a drunk bloke on a bench.
Oh, fucking hell.
But then Guy and Dan eventually got chatting to him. I had none of it. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm off. But yeah, so it's a quite nervy time, because when that happened, I was like, is everyone going to turn into a cunt right now? Because that would really ruin it.
It was I think the kind of theme of the last week has been the idea of two Englands, and there's two Englands within all of us.
Yeah.
You know, as seen on the pitch and off the pitch, that it feels like it's just sort of a bipolar disorder being English, where there's just two sides.
What are the two sides?
Well, if you look at how amazing.
Well, it's almost the contrast between the successful air horn and the non-successful air horn.
It's true. It's the two Englands.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of togetherness and passion that felt like it made you feel a bit proud to be English, and like you feel proud to be English for like such fleeting moments. There's just moments where the chants are funny, people are together. And then someone says someone says something racist, and it's like, no, he's not going to take England from me. He says another thing, right? Oh Christ, he's eating protein powder.
Come on,
God,
Italy, I
guess.
Come
on, no,
we can't.
This is our England. I can't. And then seeing our players on the pitch who are just the soundest bunch of lads, and it's that's our England, and then the camera pans to the people in the audience and like a big England fan with their fat tummy. It's like, that's also our England.
Dirty Italian bastard. You dirty Italian bastard.
You can stick your curly pester up your arse. I really didn't like any of that sort of chat. And I think
I didn't mind the curly pasta so much.
The curly pasta was alright,
because it's kind of funny that they're not even calling it Fusili.
yeah.
It was so ignorant that it was hilarious for me.
Yeah.
I think that was the point of it.
And I think what's good about
makes it more harmless.
Which is the good thing about those Italian is because of the diversity of Italian cuisine is that there is almost an endless amount of those. You could stick.
Yeah. And
you put my ham up your arse.
Your
carbonara up your arse. You can stick your spaghetti vongole. Your spaghetti vongole.
Bongolese.
Vongole, the clams and oyster spaghetti dish, garlic. They're very nice. Actually.
Very cultured, aren't you?
Yeah, I am actually. Well, I'm part Italian, so.
Oh, of course. Oh shit! Did you have any?
No, because
why would you? Why the heck would you?
I really don't like. In general, it's a pet peeve of mine. People having a small amount of heritage somewhere else,
and
living
using
here
it as a personality
and
trait.
using it as a personality trait, and then actively like hating England and stuff. Well, I mean, there's reasons to, admittedly, but that's not why. I just find it weird when even if someone's parents there, it's like you don't even spend any time there. You barely speak the language. It's like.
It's an attempt to indicate difference.
Exactly, and it's just like.
But then people use that as a personality trait.
It's like, yes, it's not
fair enough.
I can understand not wanting to be English and defining yourself against England, but
make it your second.
No, you're with us. This is a disorder that we've all got. And you don't fucking escape because of because you're a fucking quarter Scottish, mate. Actually, you're with us.
If you trace my family tree back, it seems I have a significant amount of French heritage.
Exactly. Look, none of us like England, but we're all English, so you fucking support it.
Look, we're here. You can't get out of it.
It just really pisses me off. Yes, it's not ideal. Yes,
it's not great. Do you think we think it's great?
No, but it's us, so we can't help it.
You just stop. Make him your second team.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to see Ireland do well, but I'm never going to support them over England.
That's the thing is, no matter how...
And I love Ireland. I love Irish history.
And we've kind of had this talk, because I think also I've had a bit of a change with my view on things. Because we've had a lot of discussions about nationalism, especially when it's kind of around the Queen. I've always been someone who's kind of held on to like giving it more of a go and like not falling too much into cynicism. But I have been put through the ringer a little bit with even me, who's trying my best to. I'm trying to hold on to some idea.
Every time we have this conversation, I see your lip quiver, just because I see you like, I'm really trying.
And I'm always like, no, they're not that bad, and then I go there and I'm like, they're all bad.
You're slowly taking down each one of your royal figurines that are lined up behind the camera. So Prince William is just gone today.
There's only Prince Andrew left.
He's the only one left. The only good one left.
But let's talk about the game before we discuss the topics around it.
Well, we got it. Let's trace it because I want to. Do you want to do the game and then the journey back and stuff?
Yeah. And then, so it finally came to the game, and we'd been waiting for 8 hours, and we'd kind of reached a slight state of delirium where it was adrenaline. We were drunk, but we'd just been sat there so long, and it was amazing. I complain if I'm not sat in a comfortable chair for more than 5 minutes. I didn't have a comfortable seat for 8 hours, and it didn't actually feel like any issue.
I think I had a woman on my lap for 7 hours.
7 hours, yeah. It was
at least 7 hours.
A carousel of women.
A carousel of women.
A conveyor belt of ladies.
It was quite the day.
At least someone scored.
Well,
I mean, we did score. So
one of them was my ex-girlfriend, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, it still counts.
Yeah, it still counts.
And then 2 minutes into the England game, they scored, and honestly,
too quick.
It was too quick.
Too quick.
And
I felt like the celebrations would have been bigger.
I went mental, but part of me was like, no, this can't happen. This is too quick.
It's too soon. Everyone calm down. Yeah. But part of it, I felt, because there was a massive celebration, obviously, when the game's kicking off and it starts.
Yeah.
2 minutes in, we're kind of a bit tired from that celebration. Like, it would have been a bit bigger if it had happened 10 minutes later.
And it was just the feeling that it was just like this, it felt like there was this all-conquering energy, because we'd all, I love those moments where you kind of all connect your energy in one, and then it felt like we manifested that goal because we'd been chanting about it for 8 hours, and we'd forced all of the energy in that room, had created that goal, and then we'd finally got it, and then from then on.
It was pandemonium.
Yeah.
I've got several bruises on my leg. I was just seeing if they were any significant. Just from kicking shit and stuff. And then we dominated the first half, in my opinion. First 35 minutes. Yeah.
And then, it's a tough one. I felt, and then the penalty shootout happened, obviously, and though Italy did deserve to win, it feels like, which made me feel a lot better. Like, when Spain went out to Italy, they deserved to win that game, so I would have felt much worse. But I guess it's the problem of just remembering that it's all about inches, and we really could have won that penalty shootout, to be honest, because they'd missed the second shot, and
when Pickford saved, he had to, it was if they score they win, and Pickford saved it. It was like, well, we're going to win now.
But yeah, we had
celebrations as if we're going to win it, and
I know Italy are good at penalty shootouts, but we had it of all the time. We could have fluked our way to the victory, and then no one would have remembered that we'd fluked it a little bit. In 10 years' time.
No, exactly.
It was that close. We might never ever have that opportunity again, and that's what was kind of.
That's the hard.
So it's like a thing of being like, we've made the final, which is amazing, because there's like a curse on the England team in general. But we were so fucking close, and it's like Southgate. No one's gonna chat shit about him managerially because he keeps providing results. And he's got everything pitch perfect pretty much up really until he selects the penalty shootout. And it was like his mistake did literally cost the whole thing. And you just feel like
it's such a shame, isn't it?
It's such a shame because it was a terrible selection of penalty shootouts. It was
a bad idea.
I mean, he said it was because he was just judging it on how well they did in training, which I guess is fair enough.
But you've got to think about the occasion.
You've got to think about the occasion. And also, which got lost in celebrations, is Harry Maguire's penalty was the greatest penalty I've ever seen.
What a rocket!
Unbelievable.
Shocking. Because he's a man for the occasion. He's a centre-back, but he's the kind of guy you want to go up and just splash.
And I've realised, because there's been a lot of it's now like a trope that defenders have been taking the best penalties, and they've the penalty shootout, the first 4 French penalty takers, and the main reason is because they don't take penalties, there's no information on them. I think that's actually one of the main reasons, because you don't have any. They would have been briefs on all of but Maguire's never taken a fucking penalty, so no one knows what the fuck he's going to go for.
Head it in.
No idea. And he broke the fucking camera, which is amazing that hasn't happened more.
Yeah.
You see it get hit, but being broken.
That was a fucking rocket.
Unreal.
That was going.
And that was the closest we came, if you look back on it, to winning the Euros.
To victory.
So fucking close.
Yeah.
And then I try and do this thing now with football occasions like that. Is I grieve intensely for 20 minutes and I try and get it out. I think that's the best way to deal.
Hang it.
I think the best. I mean, you can feel sad as the stuff afterwards, but like the problem, especially with men and sport, is you don't want to add it to the shelf of kind of
trauma,
bitterness and trauma that you don't deal with. So you just sit in that moment. Like, I didn't speak to anyone. I just looked gormless and miserable for about 20 minutes, and I just sat in the awfulness of it all and tried to let it all drain out. And then finally I could be like, okay, I can slowly get back. 'Cause you just want to
yeah.
get rid of it all.
If
you
get
want
out
to
the
cry, get it out.
Get
just
it the heck
don't
out
let
there,
it.
yeah.
Don't, because otherwise you'll start taking out on
Don't
other people.
compartmentalise it.
Yeah.
It was like a mass therapy session.
It was, yeah.
Really. But then the walk back, because we then went off to maybe, because obviously the night would have been incredibly different at England.
It would have been one of those amazing nights of our lives.
Yeah,
we were all going to go to Central London.
Central
and
London,
it was the
there'll be
way that it
different things
changed
on.
within a...
Instantly, it was like, well, I guess
the mood had been immaculate, and then it became sort of like a bit of a nightmare afterwards, because the rain was kind of like dancing in the rain turned into it's fucking raining in summer.
Yeah. But then I think it was almost like as soon as we missed that penalty, it was almost like everyone went, oh shit, I've got work tomorrow.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And then all the Ubers were crazy expensive. Everything was hiked up.
No
one could get any.
Couldn't get any.
Me
and Adam had to walk.
All that togetherness felt like everyone was fucking off in their own individual things.
Me and Adam took 3 hours to get back from there because we had to.
What the fuck?
We had to walk. We walked Izzy back home from Clapham because she couldn't get a taxi at all, and then we had to. We were adamant we couldn't get any taxis anyway, but they were like £75.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we were like, that's just taking a piss. So we got a series of night buses on the way back, which was kind of an interesting experience in itself.
Oh yeah, what were you seeing? Were you seeing
just despair? It was the buses were rammed. I mean, we were getting to like 2 a.m. now, and they were still rammed.
Yeah.
But not with celebration, just of drunk people. Honestly, just a collective fucking hell, I've got work tomorrow. That was all I could feel. But we went through like Liverpool Street and stuff, and Adam went to the Mackies, and it was just a scene of despair with people crying.
Mackies must be
crying into Big Macs. Kind of like apple pie slipping out. Not my pie as well. Can this day get any worse? And then we went to there was like a pop-up kiosk coffee, and Adam went to go and get a crunchy, and I went to go and get some poppers.
Sure. Because you can get, was it one of those like sneaky news?
It was a sneaky one, yeah. It was surprising the amount of offices that sell poppers, though. Don't do poppers, kids. But
well, it's how bad as poppers?
Not that bad.
It just makes your arsehole expand.
Yeah, which is the only point of them.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to contort arsehole going back on the bus.
Exactly. He wanted a large arsehole.
Sue me. But so he went up and got a crunchy, and it was just contactless payment. And it got declined. He had to put it in, and he quickly snatched it away. Well, I'll sort that out, and then typed it out again. Adam then saw on his Monzo the next day saying that there was a declined payment for £30. So they tried to mug him off for £30 because he thought he was drunk, because he thought we were drunk and despairing. So for a £1 chocolate bar, they tried to make him just do a contactless for 30 quid.
Fucking hell.
The poppers cost £20 as well. That's obscene. That's a lie.
Was it 20? They cost like £4.
Yeah,
max.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't
Everyone
really
was hiking everything up.
Everyone was hiking everything up.
And just trying to scam everyone.
£30. What a shit move after England
the
lose.
Feeling of community.
Imagine being those guys, capitalising on sad drunk people.
I mean, were they English? Because if you weren't English and you just come over here, part of me would feel like fuck these guys a little bit.
These guys. They were making pizza in the back. No, I think they were. I didn't have much conversation with them other than, do you have any poppers, dear sir?
Because I feel also for people, there was a lot of people doing cocaine in the toilets, and like, the male toilets, just like, once again, it was like, fuck it, it's hard to support England sometimes, because there was like 5 topless dudes all round.
Were they the ones who didn't move?
Just jumping around in this tiny toilet, and then just doing coke.
Go for a wee,
and
man.
It's also like doing coke. It's like, doing that during the game is a bold move, because it's going to crash your come down so hard. Or doing any sort of form of drugs with the idea of celebration. It's really, really not thinking through.
You're playing with fire.
Yeah, because you don't want to be coked up and lost. Just awake and sad.
Because that's a really, well, now what the fuck am I going to do? Now what the fuck am I going to do?
And it felt... So I was all right with the final loss, because... I think it was just amazing we managed to get there anyway.
Yeah.
So I really felt like, fair enough, Italy deserved it more, whatever. Yeah. But then the racist abuse, I was finding out about that, genuinely, I felt worse about that than the defeat. Yeah. Like, it hurt in a similar way.
It was just such a moment of, we've had such a good run, we've all been coming together for that. And then just to lose, which is sad enough, but then to like just rip all of that apart, it all kind of like ruins everything. And
what I hated is like that team could hold their head up high as like losing with dignity, but now every country in Europe has complete rights to say the good guys won, like fuck you guys, and like I'm glad you guys didn't win. And like a lot of Italians have been chatting shit on social media, and it's like fair enough. I mean, because and like for me, obviously I find like the kind of performative stuff in comedy and the media with some social progressivism I find tedious, but in sport I'm as woke as they come. Like I'm like a full on.
Well, that's
for some reason when it comes to sport,
the racism
I'm
in
like
sport is pretty fucking abhorrent.
Yeah, but also like I don't care if the gesture's performative or like there's something about if a sportsman does it that feels like that's where performative work should happen. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean, like taking the knee?
Taking the knee, and it's just like activism and stuff. It feels like there's less, you know, with Sterling and Rashford. I feel with their activism,
heck yeah,
it's like it feels like there's absolutely no narcissism driving it. Like even hearing Sterling in like an interview during one of the games talk about how he kind of like he feels he's done now. He wants to get back to football. It's like, you know what? I could tell that you're not doing this. That none of this is coming from a place of wanting to be seen as this moral. You really are
seems
doing
out
it.
of a genuine necessity.
Yeah, and same with Rashford. It's just like the way he doesn't feel like he's trying to capitalise it at all being both of them just and like that's something that can be frustrating in other walks of media where some of the social issues get caught up with other people's narcissism stuff. But in sport, I think that is different.
I agree. Well, I mean, it was the greatest. Part of we can almost hold our heads up high at this point with the fact that Tyrone Mings absolutely shut down.
He just crushed pretty.
It
was unreal.
It was one of the best British political put down I've seen ever.
Yeah, it was unreal.
It was fucking brilliant. It's going from Tyrone fucking Mings.
Yeah,
and that was like, we've done good out of that. Almost. It was
the two Englands though, you know,
because it was such a dead point from her like that. Because I guess we always kind of forget about the hoorah that happened. Because I mean, taking the knee, kind of the whole controversy around that, kind of took a sideline to when we started doing well, almost, which is indicative of itself, to be honest. But the fact that, because like the majority of the arguments of people who were saying they shouldn't take it was because it was to do with like a Marxist ideology and Black Lives Matter being Marxist rather than it being anything to do with racism. It's got kind of bullshit. Instead of taking that argument, she just went with the kind of performative argument, which is such a completely dumb way to.
And they said you also have a right to boo if you.
You have a right to boo. Yeah, that was
and it's like stuff like that. It feels like all of the team represented like a really idealistic England of what England could be. But then seeing England burn around them, it was just it was the perfect. It has, for how mental this country's been in the last 5 years, it was like a perfect encapsulation of what's going on, where you have this sort of idealized version of what England could be, and then literally watching it in Wembley had been like a stampede of people who hadn't bought tickets. Harry Maguire's dad like broke 3 ribs because of stampede.
Lando Norris, the F1 driver, got mugged.
Yeah, he got mugged. It's just like,
for God, it was supposed to be a good day.
Yeah, and it's just
it turned out being pretty crushing in every single way. In every single way. But we'll come back stronger.
Yeah, I'm excited for
the World Cup's
Qatar.
next bloody year.
Yeah.
Do you know when the final is?
When?
It's like the 12th of December or something.
So dumb.
What the fuck is that?
It's so. I mean,
what the fuck is that?
That's another thing. It's like
football at Yuletide.
You're having a laugh because all of this social activism that's happened by the England football team and stuff. It's going to be funny when they do the World Cup in Qatar, which is like, okay, they bought the World Cup, they built on slave labour, and it's clearly
we're playing in winter.
What the fuck?
It's a real shame.
Fuck?
What the fuck? I mean, that kind of be because. Again, it could maybe FIFA. We never do a boy gone wild of the week, but I think FIFA could be a boy gone wild of the week because they just don't. They're corrupt openly. They're openly corrupt, publicly corrupt.
I mean, I do sort of.
They don't seem to give a fuck.
I do sort of miss the Seb Blatter era, where he would just do stuff and then like only slightly deny it. Or act a little bit bemused, just like so like.
He's basically.
He made a film about himself with Tim Roth playing him. Do you remember this?
No.
What?
No.
You don't know about this?
No.
Oh my god!
But did he produce it?
He produced this film.
Tim Roth. Oh, I do. Yeah.
And it was about the founding of, and he's like
weird choice of Tim Roth.
Yeah. he's like, Tim Roth was doing a lot of money stuff at the moment. He clearly was going through some financial issues. But basically, I think the vague storyline was of how Sepp Blatter sort of managed to navigate the kind of heavy bureaucracy to make FIFA what it is today. And
Corrupt.
How everyone was telling him, you're a dreamer. And he's like, no, FIFA can be this.
Everyone was telling him, you're not corrupt. No, I am.
No, I am.
I am. Watch me. But that's going to be fucking shit, man. Yeah. It's a real shit, because just like after all of this stuff has happened, we've had such a rise with football, such a clear indication of what it can do for a country, what it can do for everyone within the country, and then just such a stark example of how it can be absolutely divisive and horrible. And then we're going to go to Qatar.
It's literally both, because it was kind of, we were having arguments about this before, and like you definitely got swept up in national FIFA.
Yeah.
Where you were like,
because
sort of, you weren't like a crazy support of the English football team, and I was, and then all the reasons you listed came true, and all the reasons I listed came true,
and then we kind of went.
I saw you. I think it was during the Denmark game where you fully
just lost
your mind, and we're like, come on, England! But as someone who's not too tribal with that sort of stuff, I just saw it come out of you.
And then, so now I look back like a fool. Yeah. It's almost like everything I was saying has now come true. So I'm like, well, shit. But no, I think, it's got a greater force for good than bad. They're a minority, of course.
It was also good because it was like, I think this was genuinely something that was felt across the nation in quite a good way, is there's sort of like a bit of a denial of racism in this country because we compare it to America, and and it has been a bit of a issue with the discourse where people, like, crazy racist stuff happens in America and we sort of transport their racism to ours, and it's it manifests in a different way,
a very different way.
It's just it does, and like using the same arguments and stuff, and it's like it did seem
ours is almost a lot more visceral though. In some,
well, you know what? Because I had Filio on the podcast,
I saw you repost
and he, at the time, this was straight after the George Floyd thing, he made a point that from living in the UK for 5 years. He said that the difference is that basically we have racist sports fans. In America, the Ku Klux Klan will like Kobe Bryant and stuff.
Yeah.
And
whereas it was like even someone if you're supporting Chelsea, a racist fan supporting Chelsea would still get, like,
and that's like a weird. And I think it's all caught up with that culture.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's good.
But then people have realised how
also
bad racism still is in this country. Like someone on GB News, which is kind of wild. So GB News, obviously very reactionary, has kind of chat shit about the knee and all these kind of things. One of their presenters said, after seeing this, he didn't realise how bad it was and took the knee live on air.
No shit.
And I was like, this is kind of... And even for me, it was a realisation, as someone who did think there was a lot of race in this country, I didn't realise it was quite as... It felt like it'd been over-egged a little bit because I just hadn't been able to... Yeah. But then seeing it out there...
It brings it to the forefront again.
So I think that...
Did you see some of the tweets as well? Because, like... you don't really want to go and look him up.
I was trying to find them because it felt like
I saw a couple of people posting. They're just abhorrent, and I swear to God. So there's this one guy that works for Savills.
Yes, I saw that one.
But it looks. I think it is Twitter, but it really looks like he posted it on LinkedIn.
Does it?
Which would have been the best.
That'd be amazing.
What a fuck! It would have been the best thing in the world if someone posts a racist tweet again, tags Marcus Rashford's LinkedIn page. Well, you're obviously going to get fired, aren't you, pal?
You get connections.
It's a nice just to see some dominoes fall of those guys getting fired. Because now you'd think more and more that there's been more and more movement after all the BLM stuff with, when people are doing racist tweets, we've seen more reaction to people getting fired for doing dumb shit.
And also, we all hate estate agents, so it was quite nice.
It was nice.
To be like,
there's always one, we all know one.
We were validated in our hatred of estate agents.
Yeah, that was good. Of course it's them. Sack them all.
Sack them all.
So I think it's nice that we're getting more public dismissal. So even stuff like when there was the Matt Hancock, when those guys it wasn't Matt Hancock, Chris Whitty in the park, and the two guys went up and like were filming him and like pushing him around and stuff, basically kind of assaulting him. They then got fired from their jobs really publicly. So I think because it's making these racist tweets are obviously irrational in themselves, but it's making the act of doing it completely irrational because you're going to lose your job. So that is a good deterrent.
And it's kind of like the part of cancel culture that we fully agree with. As we said with the Glenn Hoddle, it's the spectre of cancel culture.
Absolutely.
Comedian attempting a risky joke, don't cancel them, in my opinion.
An estate agent
who's
doing a
racist no joke whatsoever.
He can't sell houses.
You're not allowed to sell houses anymore, mate.
Yeah, you just can't sell houses. I'm really sorry, but you can't.
Something that I think is important to remember, which has been... Though there was obviously the defacing of Rashford's mural, and there's clearly
the effort is what terrifies me of that. Yeah. It's because there is, sorry to jump on this, but there is two great things in life. No, one great thing and one terrible thing with graffiti is the effort that it takes to do a slight part, like a joke, or something racist. So like you've got to get your spray cans out.
Exactly.
You've got to put it all in a bag. You've got to do that. To go out to deface a mural after England have got to the final and someone misses a penalty is one of the most disgusting things. The preparation is one of the most disgusting things.
Also, imagine getting the banana to the football game.
But there's a road down there that is meant to. It's like called Cuns Lane or something, and someone has just put a T over it and make it Cunt Lane.
Fine.
And he's clearly bought things for that. He's gone out and he's bought. It's obviously a he. He's bought like he's bought something to cover up the S, and then a few sticky notes or something, and then he's made a T so it's permanent. So every time I walk past it, it's Cunt Lane. And that is
good fun, though.
That is the best of England and the worst of England.
It's the two
Englands.
Englands.
It's all in the organisation.
It's the two Englands.
What are you going to use your organisation for?
Are you going to make Cunt Lane?
Are you going to be an abhorrent racist? Are you going to do it for Cunt Lane? You have to do it. We have to be Cunt Lane. We have to be the Cunt Lane guys.
And also, it's a similar energy being the Cunt Lane guy to being the racist guy. Like, it comes from a similar place of like chaotic hatred.
Yeah.
And if you can try and turn that
into a
to
jovial
power for
joke.
good, as opposed to...
I've seen it with like there's like pill lane, someone's turned to piss lane. This is what we need.
This is the two Englands.
This is the two Englands.
You know, something worth saying, which has not been talked about enough, is that apparently I'm gay, which has not been talked about.
It's not been talked about enough.
Seeing as there's so much in the media right now,
we need something to bring us together.
Is that only 3% of all the racist comments, were from the UK.
Yeah, that is...
And it's like something a lot of it was from like India, and it makes sense. If you're like a teenager across the sea, you're even more anonymous.
Yeah.
And I think it all got swept under the thing, and I think it is slightly important to remember when the whole of England's being tarred a little bit by this brush, that...
It is a lot.
It was a small minority anyway, but it's even smaller minority.
But what's like...
Only 3% were from the UK.
What is your possible motive? Well, clearly just fucking pure, blown, unadulterated racism. But if you're not an England supporter...
But, you know, I can imagine if you're like a 14-year-old boy in India... I can just imagine it. You're so detached from You're not even seeing the conversations about race happening here. I think it's just would be so... It wouldn't even cross your mind, and I think a lot of them will be kids, you know. Yeah. So I do think, though there is clearly been, you know, things like the Rashford Memorial are happening here. I do think a lot of the social media stuff actually hasn't been.
Yeah, because that was Southgate's reaction in his the press conference the next day. He was saying that they still need to look into it because they were looking into there's obviously, this has been happening throughout the tournament, but and he said, a lot of it was coming from overseas before, so they do need to double check it.
So I just think but then also the behaviour at Wembley, it's clearly some shit's happening here.
Oh, absolutely. Lando Norris, man, got mugged. Got his team watched on him. He looks so cute as well. Yeah. He's a little cute English poster boy.
Yeah. But, you know, sometimes it's good to rebalance wealth a little bit because I struggle to feel too sorry about the £250,000 like team watch he was given by Mercedes. That made me a little bit.
It could be worse.
Yes.
Well, I think
it wasn't a sob story. I felt it was shaking up and it was bad, but then, you know.
My watch was stolen. That cost £250 million. Oh. I didn't want to go for million because it was too much, and then I panicked and went for 250.
Bookmark boys.
Where's what?
Oh, there. Bookmark Boys.
Bookmark Boys bring the bookmark noise.
Our sponsor now is the wonderful Bookmark Boys. I spoke to she liked our ad last time. She said it was the most unhinged ad she's ever seen. If you like your bookmarks handmade, then please follow Bookmark Boys on Instagram. They're great. She's great on Instagram. She makes great content in general. It's a bit of fun. Follow it. They're the best bookmarks in the game. Look, who's that?
That's Ron Swanson.
That's Ron Swanson.
Any dog under 50 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless.
Tom Wobsgans from Succession. You can't make a Tomlet without breaking some Gregs. That is a great quote,
That's
actually.
A great one.
I forgot about that one.
Joe Exotic. I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Exactly. And I think maybe our ones might be in store as well.
Yes.
So please follow the Bookmark Boys. They're a good, ethical, small business post-COVID.
Ethical small business.
You've got to be supporting small businesses.
You have to. Or who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you to not get a bookmark from the
Exactly.
Bookmark
We're not
Boys?
being sponsored by a corporation. We're trying to help another small
Unless
business.
Gaviscon's around.
Unless Gaviscon's around.
Because we'll drop Bookmark Boys
in a second.
In a second, they're gone. But that doesn't take away from the quality of the bookmarks.
The bookmarks are brilliant. You should follow the Instagram page first.
Buy
and then
one,
you can find
send a picture of it in with your favourite book, and you'll get featured on the podcast.
Yeah, fine. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Potentially.
Yeah, great gift. Good gift.
Good gift.
For people who read. People who should read more.
My birthday's...
There's a lot of ignorant people in this country.
Read more, you stupid pricks.
Here's a bookmark. Here's a fun
bookmark. What a passive-aggressive gift you can give an idiot. Give an idiot a bookmark and tell them that they're dumb.
That's the way. When you see the next kind of group of racist England football fans, buy on bulk from Bookmark Boys.
Bookmark Boys might be the key to healing English society right now.
Exactly.
It's our
spread
method.
The bookmarks and then they'll get the message.
It's a peaceful protest against racism.
Here I am. I'll be a racist football. Fucking
Here's a bookmark, you stupid prick.
Maybe I should read more. What's this book? Racism's bad. Well, my life's a lie.
I fucked up madly. You don't just buy a bookmark, you buy a better society in the future.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, we're gonna keep trying to improve our sponsored ads. They're slowly gonna getting more and more.
I think they're gonna get more and more boring. Big budget.
I think big budget.
I'm so into that.
Pyrotechnics.
I think I'm really up for forgetting any sketches in the future and just splurging.
Constantly trying to push the advertising budget.
At the top of the O2 with fireworks.
Bookmark
Boys with flares jumping out of a plane. Jumping off a plane and trying to put a bookmark. There's a book open in the
air. Well, another person's in the air.
Bookmark Boy, with our faces flapping.
Bookmark Boy. Richard Branson's in space.
You tell me. You're telling me, pal.
So this is the other big story, which happened on the... Branson actually timed the flight so that he could get back for the Euros final.
Just before we get into that, which dog does Richard Branson look like? Because he looks like a kind of dog.
He looks like... he looks like a terrier. He looks like a...
but he's kind of got the floppy, dopey cheeks.
Yeah, he's got the Cocker Spaniel. He looks a bit...
Let's just get a picture of him up. Sorry, because this has just been annoying me for a while. I've been trying to work it out. Richard Branson will do. Images. He looks a bit like you.
Yeah. He looks like my dad, doesn't he?
God, he looks like you. Yeah.
He looks more like my dad.
He looks like your dad, but more in control.
Well, he looks like a more successful version of my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad has actually read 3 of his autobiographies, and I asked him
Does he have a
why,
quote?
and he goes, "I was seeing if I could learn anything. I knew most of it already." Which is the most my dad thing ever, because he obviously sees Branson as like someone who's achieved things that he kind of wanted to in some ways.
Yeah.
He tried to see the secret. He's like, "Nah, I actually kind of knew a lot of this stuff already, so." Wasn't as helpful as I thought.
What a fucking saint. I was going through my message requests recently for some reason and saw one from your dad.
Really?
And it's just, "Hi Andrew, can I have your passport number please?" Which out of context seems insane. No, you can't, Peter. Why do you want my passport number? We went to Jamaica.
We did go to Jamaica. Richard Branson's in space. There's the new Billionaire space race, which is the next chapter of The World's Absolutely Fucking Mental.
Yeah.
It is relentless.
It really is.
We've just had this bizarre football tournament.
Yeah.
And the mentalness of the world's happening again. Back in when it was the Cold War, there was flags of nations. Now you see the fucking Virgin sign. It's the next... It's going to be Amazon, Tesla versus Virgin.
You couldn't have a more indicative realization of where politics and economics has gone.
It's mental.
From 2 massive states to 3 ginormous companies.
It's just seeing that shitty logo. Soon we're going to have a McDonald's fucking... It's just like these ugly logos that are used that are built to advertise something else.
Oh, just because on that, the one thing that I always used to be fascinated with is when it was for maybe America, for like the Super Bowl or something, there's that classic one, just like, what are you going to do now, someone? Well, I'm going to go to McDonald's and get myself a Big Mac or something. It's that advertising. Harry Kane did one.
Did he?
He did it on his Twitter. He went, because it was fucking...
Was it straight near after the game?
It was the next day, because I was like, I hope he's posted something about the racism first.
Yeah.
But...
Harry Maguire did the same thing with Taco Bell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You said Harry Kane, McDonald's.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say McDonald's. I said he did the same kind of thing. Yeah, Taco Bell is what I said. Harry Maguire. That was it. Yeah. Incredible.
Extraordinary.
Is that the boys put loads of effort in? And as of Taco Bell,
yeah, it was the mentalist tweet though.
Free tacos.
What was so mental about it?
Because it was clearly scripted by Taco Bell, and it was poorly scripted by Taco Bell. Also, why the fuck are Taco Bell getting involved in this?
It was. In the middle of him trying to say, he was obviously contractually obliged, and he's reflecting, he's done all this stuff. He then posts, "Thank you, England, you cheered your heart out. Now eat your heart out. Get a free taco today." It's like, come on.
That was a real shame.
It was a real shame.
The England squad have been pretty much perfection throughout the entire tournament.
Do you need that money? What the fuck?
I mean, Tyrone Mings has taken on Prissy Patel. Harry Maguire's taking on Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's like, that's the kind of shit we should be doing because we're fucking broke and that's completely fine. You do not need to be doing that straight afterwards, for fuck's sake.
It's unnecessary. Because it's a tradition, or I think it is, that all the England teams donate their wages to like a charity or something.
Yeah, but what's the point in donating
if
to charity?
You're then going Taco Bell?
Yeah, I'd rather keep it. It's a charitable.
Oh, you can have that, but
save my fucking rights.
I want some money. I don't want nothing. But yeah, the space race.
The space race, and it was a bit of a. I mean, it was interesting that Branson managed to sneak in there because I didn't hear him being talked about at all in this space race.
He's a silent killer.
He was the dark horse. He was Italy.
He's the very indicative of kind of like the English sneak.
He is sneaking about.
He's quietly making moves whilst Musk and Bezos just kind of chat shit at each other, doing like kind of pre-boxing match fight.
He's also
Branson's already in the ring.
He's older and he's been around the block more.
Yeah.
Virgin is not going to run as well as Tesla or Amazon, I don't think. There's not enough money behind it.
No.
I mean, Branson was recently asking the government for money. I don't know where he's getting this cash to do this shit from.
It seems it was to get into space.
I think Virgin Galactic, which is just hilarious, seeing as we have Virgin Active. There's Virgin Active and there's Virgin Trains.
There's Virgin Atlantic.
Which you get from like London to Birmingham.
Yeah.
It's now they've changed barely any of the branding.
You could go from Marylebone to Leamington Spa.
You could go from Marylebone to Leamington Spa with a red Virgin train.
And you can now go to space.
And it's the same logo.
It's the same logo.
Virgin Galactic.
Do you think you could accidentally get on the wrong one?
What, go from... You're trying to go from London to
Leamington and you accidentally go to space. They've got to think about the different branding. It's a problem.
Or you can have a connections and it's like... You've
got a bloody... God, this change has been... What? It was... Oh my God! You got it. It's a problem that he needs to think about.
It does. If there's a ticket master coming around and you've got the wrong ticket, what's the move there?
What's the protocol?
But so Branson managed to sneak his way into space and has won the race in some ways to get there first. And so it is a spaceship, which was quite thrilling to see.
Yeah.
In many ways, it was kind of a spaceship. And of all these kind of sci-fi things that seem like dreams, it does feel like a lot of them will start. I've recently seen someone on Jetpack. And it's fully worked Jetpack.
Yeah, you seem really. Yeah, it was like a military one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was going from somewhere.
And I wasn't that shocked, but I was shocked to the fact that I wasn't that shocked.
Well, there've been people doing it with like. Yeah, I've seen
this
a lot
shit's coming
of like,
now,
people
and it's been
around.
It's been slowly going on the radar.
Now,
people are going to start flying.
There was a constant, as in like in looking at images of what people in the last century thought the next century was going to look like in the futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
Always wearing swimming caps. If you look back at any 18th or 19th century perception of the future, they all think we're going to be wearing swimming caps.
I feel this is a great observational stand-up routine.
Maybe.
Why is it? Why is it? Whenever there's 18th century's depictions of the future, they're all wearing swimming caps.
They're already laughing at 18th century depictions of the future because they know what I'm going to say.
I know.
What is it with the swimming caps? What is it with the caps? We're not underwater.
End of the bit.
End of the bit. Anyway, airline food. Right, so that is honest. Just look back on it. We're always wearing caps with like little antennas coming out of it. I presume that's because we're transmitting our brain waves to other people, our thoughts to other people. Yeah. But within it, I think because jetpacks, I might be wrong, but they can only just be for fun for me. Do you think they're going to have any genuine commercial, industrial?
What if the military's doing them? Is it so you can like? Is it going to be super soldiers?
Well, just use a drone.
Yeah, probably.
It's just, I think it's a bit of a novelty.
Do you think?
I think jetpacks, because I think we've been obsessed with them because they look fun as shit.
They're great.
But all they're going to be is like, you'll get them at theme parks.
Do you think?
What else could you use?
Yeah, do you think it's going to be like escape rooms and like, you know, in Milton Keynes you can do that thing where you, with the air tunnel type.
Yeah. Well, is it like skydiving? Like fake skydiving?
Do you think it's going to be like that?
Yeah, but I think it's basically like it will be in 50 years from now when you go to a beach and you can usually get like a canoe, a pedal boat, or maybe a jet ski. You can also get a jetpack.
I think this is a great prediction. I think it's probably going to be that.
Because what else?
In a barren wasteland.
You can't just imagine. You can't just have people having their own jetpacks and traveling to work in jetpacks.
Do you not think?
Absolutely, everyone would die. Everyone would die.
They managed to get the electric scooters sort of working.
And you think those are comparable?
Well, I'm just saying it's stepping stones.
Well, if you give enough people an electric scooter, then one person will be able to know how to use a jetpack.
Well, do you know where it might be handy? Is we grew up in the countryside, and it was a lot of getting trains and stuff, and
because we didn't learn to drive.
But I feel a jetpack would be very handy there if you could blast. Because we're jumping like half an hour car rides. Can you make that on a jetpack?
No.
Well, I'm saying with the development of the jetpack.
My problem is jetpacks will become so part and parcel of everyday life that it will be the same as passing a driving test.
Do you think?
You're going to have to do jetpack lessons.
Yeah, and then we won't
do that either. Just to say, we'll still be copping lifts of other people's jetpacks.
Yeah, and it's also like when you see.
Can you fly over and pick me up, please?
You really should learn. No.
Have you got your goggles? No. Fuck. Have you got some spares? Yeah, okay, thanks, mate. Sorry. Carrying a bag of beers.
Holding on. A little plastic man from the offie with your Stellas.
God, we're late, aren't we? Fucking hell. It's just that I don't... Because from what we saw in that military video, it was obviously, it worked in that very niche military situation when you have to get from an airplane to a massive Navy destroyer.
You should open your mind a little bit. It's not, you can't be
but I'm asking
that's
questions.
As far as it's going to get.
That's it. It is only
I can't conceive of it being...
purely for transportation between plane and destroyer.
What are you going to do now?
What now? What's next?
And also in
but give me one other thing. Because I'm open to it, but for me, recreation.
You could potentially have skyscraper window cleaners.
Well, that's fantastic. I can't deny that.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be
the best thing about them. Just like they will look so bored whilst on a jetpack. Oh fuck. God, what am I gonna get? For dinner?
999 rescue for sure. Burning buildings, stuff like that. Imagine that. There's a fire in a skyscraper. Fly up.
It's a fire in a skyscraper.
Or a lot of two-story building.
A lot of your arguments is based on constant use around skyscrapers.
Yes.
Which aren't that common. There's not loads of them.
Cat stuck up tree. Yeah,
Again, bit unnecessary.
I think...
is the fire department going to have the
fire
budget
department
for
and the police will be using them.
So what are the police?
The police.
Just in case someone...
catching a robber.
Just in case someone flees via the air.
No, you know how they have police helicopters? We'll just replace that with also having... Imagine running away from the police and then they're flying behind you. You'd immediately...
I think I'd feel a lot... It'll be a lot easier to get away. Because he'd be up there and I'd just turn around and then...
And then he'd be like, oh
shit! Where'd he go? Where the fuck to go? Circling around.
Well, you're chasing after him and he's running away and you're like, now for this!
Yeah. Well, you just fuck yourself, mate. It seems... it's an exciting time, but it's an exciting time for recreation.
No, it is an exciting time, and it is interesting how a lot of these sci-fi concepts will materialise in some form, but not in the way we think. So, for example, flying cars is one of the classic things in like a sci-fi city. How the fuck
Blade Runner
that's going to be... So there's self-driving cars, which are legit.
Yeah, they seem legit, yeah.
and they seem to they're now.
But that's an obvious. You can obviously see why that's desirable.
But the flying, it feels like that's death trap.
Absolutely.
Like if you're having like a
it's just you have to have. But so I think flying cars have to be self-driving.
They do, yeah.
Because otherwise you can't.
You need to have a manual option.
You can't have roads in the sky.
Yeah.
Can you? So how are you gonna? Oh, I've got to be on this level, passing someone. There's the sky is, especially when we're in space, it's endless. But
yeah, people have a fear of getting on planes. Let alone imagine getting on a little
a fucking Tesla in the sky. It seems it's good to dream, but sometimes we should just think, what are we actually going to use it for?
And it's like a lot of people are giving Musk, because obviously the billionaires don't pay their taxes and are cheeky little cunts, and I don't support them in general. But I do still believe
in Harvey Dent.
I believe in Harvey Dent. I still believe, because a lot of people saying things like you're spending all this money trying to find an escape from this planet, but you're not trying to save the planet. I still think there should be like a considerable amount of time and money put into space exploration.
We should still
pushing
dream.
We should need to still dream.
We should still dream.
Even if the planet's burning, it shouldn't. I still think there needs to be a push to like keep pushing what we can achieve. And at the moment, it's only those cunts doing it.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree on the push. It is. There would have to be a kind of look into how much money there was spent on it.
Yeah.
Because it does get. Because obviously, if you're trying to go to fucking space, there's a lot of dollar that's got to go into that. So if you could divert some funds around, climate change, perhaps that might not be the worst thing in the world.
But also, what's NASA think about this shit?
Well, they're pissed.
Well, NASA have had like 50 years to fucking
pissed,
work
which
on
is
this
the problem, which is again indicative of the move of power from
how's
states.
Richard Branson got there before you?
Dollar.
The dude's a fucking idiot.
The states don't have any
if
money.
If you look at his Instagram, he's a fucking knobhead.
The states don't have any money. Musk and Branson have got it all.
But yeah, a big fair play to Branson. I did not expect you to win that. I wonder if any other billionaires will shoot up before Bezos and Musk.
Danny DeVito.
He's not billionaire.
Oh, he must.
But it'd be great.
Of course he is.
It'd be great if, like, I don't know, like or like Taco Bell was the next one
after Harry Maguire's endorsement. They get enough funds to go to space.
To finally take it up.
Yeah.
And have you seen the penis-like rockets of the Bezos and Musk? What are your thoughts on that whole?
The penis rockets.
Well, there's a kind of discourse around the idea that this is a phallic, sort of almost Freudian.
Fucking your mum. It's mum space.
Well, yeah, but it's the kind of how genuinely penis-shaped these rockets are. So, like, have you seen the Amazon rocket?
I have, yeah.
It literally looks like a bell end. It's curved at the top.
Curved.
What are your thoughts on this being almost... There's something homoerotic about the competition between Musk and Bezos.
Who can fuck mummy first?
Just got our episode name. I think that's what it shouldn't be called the space race. It should be called Who Can Fuck Mummy First.
Who can fuck mummy first? If any kind of Freudian concept is brought up in relation to any of these kind of things, I love it. I love to dive into it. But then my rational brain is going, they've got some of probably the finest aeronautical engineers on the planet. There's got to be a reason for that shape. Yeah. They're both taking the space race pretty seriously. I'm not. Although Musk could be the only guy like my rocket looks like a cock.
Yeah, he put a sports car out in space. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. But I just feel like if there is a reason that both of them look like that, there must be some physics behind it.
Yeah.
Sadly, yeah, that's what I think it is. I don't think the physicists are working on a kind of base Freudian subconscious thing of wanting to have sex with their mum.
I think this is true about the phallic theory anyway. I've seen a lot of feminist literature bemoaning the patriarchy, and one of the reasons they give is the reason patriarchal architecture is very phallic.
Yeah.
No, that's just like a better way to build buildings, because it's not going to be... You don't want a vagina-shaped build. You want a penis-shaped tower.
You want a penis-shaped tower.
Do you know, like, when you're building a city, phallic shapes are going to be more practical.
To become a tower.
It becomes a pit.
It becomes a pit. Well, it has to be tall and thin.
Yeah, I don't know what the...
It can't. I'm not sure what else.
Sometimes I take umbrage with the idea that this is purely a way of men dominating women. It's actually just a practical way to build the best towers.
Tower, yeah.
Because it's straight and up.
Because the whole point about is building them as tall as possible. Yeah. So you can't.
I don't know what vaginal.
Make it like an S, like a swooping.
Was that what's vaginal buildings?
It would have to be 2 separate towers coming in, and then a little circle.
For the clitoris?
For the clitoris, yeah. So it would have to be 2 oval shapes, like an oval shape-ish, not quite an oval.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And then in between the 2, as they meet at the top, there's a little circular point, which is like a viewing space.
A viewing platform.
Yeah.
But maybe a penthouse suite.
What we're already having to do for that is build 2 curved towers.
Which seems, and the idea...
We haven't got degrees in architecture,
yeah,
but it seems more difficult.
It does seem more difficult. And also the idea, maybe if there was a female billionaire leading the space race, would their rockets still look like a penis, or do you think it would be a flying vagina?
That is the only way we can validate or devalidate.
If an effective rocket looks like a vagina and is competing with the penis-shaped rockets.
So come on, you feminist, your move. I want to see some space.
The biological shapes appear throughout architecture and science. A lot of it's based off the aerodynamics of animals. The way the penis is a rocket.
You're absolutely right.
The penis is the shape of it is so it can fly through the air at high speeds.
Look, we live in a patriarchy. Sure.
Yeah,
we know this. We're feminists in some ways.
No,
but I just don't think a vagina rocket will work. And the reason why, it isn't for me. I don't think the rocket looks
sounding quite toxic.
Maybe I am, and I apologise if I am. But maybe it's. I don't think it's that our best physicists built a rocket because it looks like their genitals. I think it's probably because it's got the most likelihood of getting people into space without dying.
No, I think it's insecure men.
Oh, they just couldn't. They were right. The first rocket designers were just in the room going, "What is this gonna look?"
What?
I've got it.
My asshole. No,
the other one. The other one. Well,
maybe you could do his arsehole.
You could do a giant boob skyscraper.
Yeah, the boob shape doesn't, but it also takes up a lot of room on the ground level.
That's the problem.
You're trying to build up to be more. It would be interesting to see, but I think we've basically covered all of space and time. The main theme of the episode.
Hilariously, we did so much more in space.
We did a lot more in space. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Do you have anything to say to our...
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Subscribe to the Patreon.
Can you gently caress that like button?
Yeah, gently caress that like button.
Kind of move up.
Smooch the sub.
Start on a thigh. Slowly make your way up.
To the subscribe button.
To the subscribe. Just give it a gentle, just a tickle.
Stay safe.
Keep it Troxy.
And subscribe to the Patreon. Bye.